Welcome to the Deep Dive. We dig through the sources, pull out the key info, and get you up to speed fast. Today, we're looking at Portugal. Not just the, beautiful beaches and sunshine destination, although there's that too, but Portugal as a country actively really rolling out the red carpet for top global talent. That's our focus today. The Portugal D3 Visa. Its official name is the residence visa for highly qualified activity. Kind of a mouthful. Our mission really is to break down what this visa actually is. Who's it for? What are the benefits? Because some are frankly quite surprising. We'll also touch on how you navigate the application process, which can be tricky, and what life and work in Portugal could actually look like for you with this visa. We're distilling everything from our sources, giving you that shortcut to being well-informed. What really jumped out at me from the research was Portugal's strategy here. It feels very deliberate. This isn't just, oh, here's another visa. It seems like a direct play in the global talent competition. They are positioning themselves against other EU countries, maybe ones with more complex paths. The D3 feels like their tool to, well, to cherry-pick the exact skills they need for their economic growth, especially looking ahead to 2025.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. The D3 visa is highly targeted. Our sources are very clear on this. It's specifically designed for professionals with, advanced qualifications, very specialized skills, exceptional expertise. And it spans quite a few fields: tech, science, academia, healthcare, business leadership.
So definitely not your standard work permit then. It's quite specific. How does this D3 stack up against, say, similar talent visas in Germany or the Netherlands? Is Portugal offering something genuinely different here?
That's a great point. A lot of EU countries have talent programs, sure, but Portugal's D3, it seems to stand out because it's so clearly defined for specific high-demand skills, and the process itself is comparatively quite streamlined. If you look at the big picture, Portugal is really pushing to become this hub for innovation and research. This visa is, like you said, a core part of that national strategy. They're basically saying, we need this expertise, and we're making it easier for you to bring it here.
Okay, so we get the why from Portugal's side, but for you listening, the big question is, am I that talent? Let's dive into who exactly qualifies. Because highly qualified, well, that can be a bit vague, can't it?
It can, but the D3 criteria are pretty specific. You've got distinct categories. First, academic and research folks. Think university professors, researchers at recognized institutes, postdocs, people leading scientific projects.
Right.
Then there's a big bucket for specialized technical experts, IT specialists, software engineers, cybersecurity, data scientists, that kind of thing. Also various engineers, civil, mechanical, electrical, environmental, the list goes on. Healthcare too, doctors, specialized nurses, medical researchers, and finance analysts, fund managers, fintech experts.
It's not just the tech and science roles, though, is it? I found it interesting that it extends further.
Absolutely. It covers corporate management and leadership too, so C-level execs, department directors, managers on complex projects, specialized consultants. And importantly, it also includes artistic and cultural fields. Distinguished artists, directors of cultural projects, specialized creative professionals, if they bring recognized value.
Okay, so a pretty broad range of high-level roles. What are the actual, the hard requirements, the qualifications you need? Sounds like more than just enthusiasm for custard tarts.
Yes, definitely more than that. Generally, you need at least a bachelor's degree. But honestly, for many of these fields, a master's or PhD is really preferred, often essential. Plus, relevant work experience, usually 3 to 5 years, sometimes more. And you need to prove you have specialized skills that are actually in demand in Portugal. But here's the critical part. Before you apply for the visa, you absolutely must have one of these things secured. Either an employment contract for a highly qualified job with a Portuguese company, or a research position at a recognized Portuguese institution, or a teaching gig at a university there, or be involved in a specialized technical or artistic project that's recognized as valuable. You need that formal link first.
Got it. Let's talk money. Salary thresholds are often the make or break factor, aren't they? What are the numbers looking like for 2025?
Right. For 2025, there are 2 main levels to be aware of. The standard one requires a minimum gross annual salary that's at least 1.5 times the Portuguese average gross annual salary. That works out to roughly $39,000 a year.
39,000 euros, okay.
But for positions deemed highly specialized, the requirement is higher. The salary needs to be at least 3 times the value of the IS, that's the social support index. In 2025 figures, that translates to about 1,567.50 per month.
Right.
Now, these figures can sometimes vary a bit depending on the exact field or maybe the region, but that gives you the ballpark. They're set to ensure people can live comfortably.
Okay, so you know what it is, who it's aimed at, the qualifications, the salary. But beyond just getting in, what makes the D3 really stand out? Our sources point to some benefits that could be, well, game changers, starting with that streamlined process you mentioned.
Yes, compared to regular work visas, the D3 gets priority processing, both when you apply at the consulate outside Portugal and then later with AE, that's the agency inside Portugal, used to be called CEF. That priority handling can really cut down waiting times. It's a big practical advantage.
And this one's huge for anyone thinking of moving their life, not just their job. Family inclusion. You can bring your spouse, your partner, your kids. That makes a huge difference, surely.
It's absolutely critical for many people. It takes away a massive barrier to relocation. Plus, you get access to Portugal's public systems, healthcare, social security right from the start.
And of course, that Schengen area mobility. Visa-free travel around most of Europe is always nice. But it's not just about the short-term perks, is it? There's a longer game here. This isn't just for a year or two.
Definitely not. The D3 provides a very clear pathway towards permanent residency in Portugal and eventually even Portuguese citizenship after 5 years of legal residency.
Okay, citizenship. That's a big goal for many. And staying on practicalities, what about the financial side once you're there? Taxes. Portugal's had some famous tax schemes.
Ah, yes, the tax advantages. This is where things get interesting and, well, strategic.
The non-habitual resident regime, the NHR. That's been a huge draw for years, almost legendary status.
It really has. The NHR could offer a flat tax rate of 20% on Portuguese income from certain high-value activities for up to 10 years, and potentially exemption from Portuguese tax on some foreign income. Key condition was you couldn't have been a tax resident in Portugal for the 5 years before applying.
But, and this is a big but, NHR is mostly finished for new applicants now, right, since 2024. There are some exceptions, grandfathering rules, but generally it's closing down.
That's right. It's largely being phased out for new residents, which leads to the next question.
Exactly. If NHR is winding down, what's replacing it? Our sources mention something new for 2025 called IFICI. What's that about?
IFICI stands for Incentivo Fiscal à Investigação Científica e Inovação. It's a new tax incentive specifically for scientific research and innovation. This really shows Portugal's shift. While NHR was broad, IFICI is much more targeted. It signals they're prioritizing specific knowledge-intensive areas, scientific research, IT, medicine, top management roles related to innovation.
So it still offers that 20% flat tax rate?
Yes, on qualifying income earned in Portugal from those specific activities. And our sources suggest the requirements might actually be simpler than NHR's were. It's a clear strategic move, aligning tax benefits directly with the D3 visa's target sectors. They want D3 holders contributing directly to these priority growth areas.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a more focused approach.
Yeah.
So let's say you're convinced, Portugal D3 Visa, this is for you. How do you actually make it happen? The practical steps. It sounds like a bit of a journey, and for some people, there's a step before the visa application itself.
Yes, and this is absolutely crucial for certain professions. We're talking about regulated professions. Think doctors needing registration with the Ordem dos Médicos or engineers with their Ordem dos Engenheiros. For these roles, you must get your foreign credentials recognized, get registered professionally, and get licensed in Portugal first, before you even think about the visa application.
And that takes time.
It can. Easily 1 to 3 months, sometimes longer, so you absolutely have to factor that initial step into your planning.
Right. Then, assuming you've cleared that hurdle, or if it doesn't apply to you, you need the job offer.
Exactly, that formal employment contract. And your Portuguese employer needs to register the job vacancy with the IEFP, the Employment Institute.
Then comes the paperwork. Oh, the paperwork. It looks like quite a list. What are the essentials?
It is comprehensive. You'll need personal stuff. Valid passport, criminal record check from your home country, and anywhere you've lived recently. Proof of legal residence if you're applying from outside your home country. Travel insurance covering at least 30,000 euro. Then professional documents. Your university degrees, diplomas they need to be apostilled. Professional licenses too. A detailed CV. Reference letters can help. Maybe a portfolio, depending on your field.
Apostille. That's the official legalization, right?
Correct. It authenticates the document for international use. Then you need the employment documents, the contract itself, a detailed job description. Proof of financial means basically showing you can support yourself initially. And proof of accommodation in Portugal. Even temporary accommodation is usually okay to start.
And if you're bringing family.
More apostille documents, marriage certificates, birth certificates for children, proof they're dependent on you. And one of the biggest potential pitfalls is making sure every single non-Portuguese document is not only apostilled or legalized correctly, but also translated into Portuguese by a certified translator.
Certified translator, not just any translation. That's a key detail from the sources. Missing that can cause major delays.
Huge delays. It's fundamental. Get that right.
Okay, assuming you've assembled this mountain of perfectly translated and apostilled documents,
Right.
what's next?
You submit the visa application itself. This usually means scheduling an appointment at the Portuguese consulate or embassy in the country where you legally reside. You hand over all the documents, pay the application fee, typically around 90. You'll provide biometrics, fingerprints, photo, and usually there's a short interview. They'll ask about your job, your qualifications, your plans in Portugal.
And how long does that visa process take?
Thanks to that priority processing for the D3, it's usually between 30 and 60 days. Could be faster, could be a bit slower, but that's the general time frame.
And if it's approved?
You get a temporary visa sticker in your passport, usually valid for 4 months. That allows you to travel to Portugal.
But you're not done yet, are you? Arriving in Portugal is just the next step.
Exactly. Once you're in Portugal with that initial visa, you need to schedule an appointment with AIMA. At that appointment, you'll likely submit some documents again, maybe some updated ones, provide biometrics again, and pay the fee for the actual residence permit card. That's around €170.
And that first residence permit,
Yeah.
how long is it valid for?
The initial one is typically granted for 2 years, according to our sources.
Okay, 2 years. So what do you need to do to keep it,
Yeah.
to renew it? And what about those long-term goals, permanent residency, citizenship?
Right. So for renewal after the first 2 years, you need to show you're still working in that highly qualified role or a similar one. Your qualifications need to remain relevant. You have to be compliant with taxes and Social Security contributions. And you need to actually spend sufficient time in Portugal, basically, not be absent for more than 6 consecutive months or 8 non-consecutive months during the permit's validity.
And the subsequent permits.
After the first 2-year permit, renewals are typically for 3 years at a time.
Okay. And going back to family, spouse, kids, maybe dependent parents,
Yeah.
they get residence permits too, right? What could they do in Portugal?
Yes, they get permits tied to yours, usually for the same duration. And this is a really big plus. Their permits generally allow them to access education, healthcare, and crucially, to work without needing any separate work authorization.
Oh, wow. So a spouse could start looking for a job right away.
Pretty much. It makes settling in as a family much smoother.
That's a huge advantage. Okay, so you maintain your residency, renewals happen. What about the path to something more permanent?
After 5 full years of continuous legal temporary residency, you become eligible to apply for permanent residence. For that, you need to show you still meet the conditions: stable income, accommodation, clean criminal record. And you also need basic Portuguese language skills, usually A2 level on the European framework.
And citizenship, is that also 5 years? Because our sources highlighted something really important here, a recent change.
Yes. Citizenship eligibility also kicks in after 5 years of legal residency. Same basic requirements: clean record, A2 Portuguese, and demonstrating some connection to the community. But here's the aha moment you mentioned, the game changer, that 5-year clock for citizenship eligibility. It now starts counting from the moment you submit your application for your initial residence permit.
Not when the permit is actually granted, which could be months later.
Exactly. It used to be from the grant date. Now it's from the application date. This effectively shortens the timeline to citizenship eligibility for many people, sometimes significantly. It's a major practical improvement.
That really does show Portugal is serious about making this pathway attractive long-term. Okay, let's shift focus slightly. Beyond the visa itself, what about actually building a career and life there? Networking, career growth.
Portugal's professional environment, our sources suggest, still values personal connections quite highly. While LinkedIn exists, of course, face-to-face networking is key. Joining professional associations in your field, chambers of commerce, maybe university alumni groups, these are really valuable. There are also good opportunities for ongoing professional development courses, certifications, industry conferences. Great for skills, but also for meeting people.
And for the academics and researchers listening, are there specific funding pots or institutions hungry for international talent?
Definitely. Portugal is very active in EU research funding, like Horizon Europe projects. The National Science Foundation, FCT, also has significant grants. And Portuguese universities and research centers are actively recruiting international faculty and researchers, especially in those priority areas we talked about. You see these innovation ecosystems developing quite strongly. Lisbon, obviously, with Web Summit and a big startup scene. Porto has a strong engineering and research base centered around its university. Braga is a growing tech hub. Coimbra is strong in health sciences due to its historic university. Even the Algarve is developing niches in marine science and tourism innovation.
And this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. The idea of looking beyond Lisbon. The capital is great, but our sources really emphasize the opportunities elsewhere.
They really do. And it's worth considering for lifestyle and cost of living, too. Porto in the north, you have that
Right.
booming tech scene, often a lower cost of living than Lisbon, and a deep engineering tradition. The University of Porto is a powerhouse. Coimbra in central Portugal, great if you're in health sciences or research linked to the university there. Housing is generally more affordable, too. The Algarve. Yes, tourism, but also emerging healthcare clusters, marine research, plus that international vibe and the climate.
And the islands, Madeira and the Azores, they seem quite specialized.
Very specialized. Unique research opportunities, marine biology, volcanology, climate science, international astronomy facilities, a very distinct quality of life. And often, these autonomous regions have their own additional tax incentives, which can be quite attractive. So different regions offer genuinely different packages.
It's not just Lisbon-centric then. Looking ahead to 2025 specifically, are there any other sort of practical updates or considerations for D3 applicants, maybe around AMO processing or specific sectors?
Yeah, AMS seems to be continually trying to improve processing for highly qualified applicants. Things like dedicated liaison officers for complex cases, more digital submissions. The aim is faster, smoother processing, especially for D3. And those priority sectors for 2025 are worth repeating. Digital transformation, cybersecurity, green energy, life sciences, AI, advanced manufacturing, the ocean economy. If your skills fit there, you're likely in higher demand.
Makes sense. And what about remote work? The world's changed. Does the D3 visa accommodate hybrid working?
Yes, significantly. The policies have been updated to recognize hybrid work models. There are provisions allowing for some remote work, even occasionally from outside Portugal, within certain limits, of course. It shows they're adapting to modern professional realities, which makes the D3 even more appealing, I think.
Definitely. Okay, let's try and wrap this up with some practical advice. To really succeed with this, what are the tips for application excellence?
Presentation matters. Clear professional documentation. Meticulously organized credentials. Write a compelling cover letter. Don't just list facts. Explain your value to Portugal and the employer. Prepare for the interview. Know about recent developments in your field in Portugal. Maybe have a digital portfolio ready to showcase your work.
And beyond the application, what about integrating culturally? That seems just as important for long-term success.
Huge. Start learning Portuguese as early as possible. Even basic conversational skills make a massive difference day to day and professionally. Research the business culture. It can be a bit more formal, relationship-driven, maybe a slightly more relaxed pace sometimes compared to, say, the US or UK. Understand the work-life balance expectations often highly valued, and professional dress tends to be fairly smart.
Are there common challenges people hit? Any survival tips?
That professional recognition for regulated fields start early, I can't stress that enough. Bureaucracy. It can be slow sometimes. Patience helps, and maybe professional help from a lawyer or a relocation specialist if you can swing it. Finding housing, especially in Lisbon or Porto, can be competitive. Be prepared to act fast. For families, connecting with expat groups or international schools can ease the transition, and sorting out banking early is always wise.
Right. Now, to really illustrate the potential here, our sources shared some fantastic success stories. Real people, real impact with the D3 visa.
Yeah, these really bring it to life. For example, a Brazilian surgeon came over on a D3, introduced advanced surgical techniques at a Portuguese hospital, set up a training program. Those techniques are now used nationally.
Wow.
An AI specialist from India joined a Portuguese tech startup, helped them secure major funding, grew the team from about 15 people to over 100 in just 3 years. Huge impact.
Incredible growth.
A Canadian climate scientist used the D3 pathway to establish a research program at a university, secured millions in EU funding, published major research on coastal resilience, and a Japanese civil engineer, an expert in earthquake resistance, came via D3 and directly contributed to updating Portugal's building codes, improving national safety standards.
Those are powerful examples. Okay, so let's recap. The Portugal D3 Visa. It's clearly a specialized, streamlined route for top-tier professionals. A strategic tool for Portugal.
Exactly. It targets specific, high-demand skills, and it offers that clear path to permanent residency and citizenship, plus great benefits like family reunification and those new targeted tax incentives like IFICI.
And Portugal itself seems genuinely committed to fostering this environment focused on innovation, research, specialized expertise. You combine that strategic focus with the quality of life, the climate, safety, culture, relative affordability. It really does make it a compelling package for global talent.
So, the final thought for you listening. What does this all mean for you? Portugal is clearly investing heavily in creating a welcoming space for international professionals. How could your specific expertise, your unique skills, fit into that picture? How might you contribute to shaping the future in what is arguably one of Europe's most dynamic and appealing destinations right now?